Hey guys. I think there's only a few people in here so far, so I'm just going to get everything set up so I can do my screen share so that you can see everything. Get my presentation going. Logging in. Hopefully everybody's checking in, doing their stuff. Let me know if you're here. I'm going to pop open the chat box on my screen. So if you're here, if you're on a computer, you click on the more on the bottom right-hand side, and you can add on the chat. If you're on your phone, you can go on to click where it says participants and hit more, and it will show you the chat box. So if you're there, let me know you're here. What do you do for a living? What do you want to learn today? All kinds of good stuff. Hopefully everybody gets themselves into the Zoom. It's not too hard, easy to follow. Make it all work. Got a great presentation for you today. Lots of wonderful things for you to learn. Turn off your video so I don't need to see you. Mute your phone just in case. It was set to auto turn off, but in case you flip it on. And so I'll have the video on only for the beginning, and then we'll flip over to presentation mode where you just see the presentation. All kinds of fun stuff to learn today about how to earn venue referrals. This is my second presentation today. So at this point, I'm officially a rock star. You get the polished version. Round one. Nah, it was great. We had a good time this morning. Everybody learned a lot. Got some great feedback. So get to learn all kinds of good things. If you haven't yet kicked open the chat box, you're welcome to kick it up, have a conversation. If you have any questions along the way, please feel free to make sure you ask and do it. Make sure you turn off your video and you mute it so that you're not sharing with the whole world. Not that that's a bad thing. And then I'll provide the recording and all the slides and email it all over to you so that if you need it, you have any questions or you missed anything, hey, Brittany. Brittany's checked in. Rodolfo was on video. Hey, Rudy. But yeah, the more the merrier. So we'll have a good time today. Learn lots of stuff about how to earn venue referrals. Which venues you guys like working at? Pop it into the chat box. Or do you wish you could get into? That's maybe a better question. Which ones could you get into? We'll give everybody just a minute. I promise I'll keep it as short as possible. This morning we went about 48 minutes long. There'll be questions at the end. Hey, Tabitha, there's questions at the end. So if you have anything specific you want to know, great. I'll throw out lots of ideas. And again, I'll send you the recording. So if you're driving, you don't have to worry about it. If you want to take notes, you're welcome to do that also. So it's up to you. Hey, Mark, welcome to the party. So I'm getting excited about being able to do more webinars, share information for you. I love doing the group sessions together, but not everybody's always got the time and the travel. And so it makes it nice because you can do it from home in your pajamas. I can't see. I mean, I have to be dressed because today you're in my home. But in general, hi, Susan. How you doing? In general, you don't have to do it. Go anywhere or do anything. So yes, you'll be able to watch later, no problem. I'll email over the file and the info. I'll also send it over with the survey so you guys can let me know how I did, and if there's anything you want to see different times of day, days of week, things like that. So we'll get started in just a minute or two. Make sure if you have any questions, you pop them into the chat box. And the more the merrier. We're going to have a good time. Just writing something down so I don't forget it for later. Hopefully it was easy for everybody to figure out the Zoom. I know it's an extra step or two, but it's a platform I enjoy using. I actually use it with clients on meetings a lot too. So, because again, everybody doesn't always have the time to travel. So it makes it a great option. Go ahead, Catherine. Catherine's got to scoot and go make herself a cup of coffee. So we won't make everybody wait too long, but I'm excited today to share with you lots of tips to earn venue referrals. As somebody who worked at 2 different venues and for a catering company who's one of my main features of my job was to really get in there and build venue relationships. It was a good opportunity for me to be able to share some of the tips of things that I used when I was trying to get on the list with venues, as well as different options and opportunities of what people, when they came to meet with me, we'll teach you some do's, don'ts, all that good stuff. So great. All right. Well, I am going to pop off the video so you don't have to see my beautiful face anymore. And we will just go right on to the presentation. And as people join in, the more the merrier. So we'll have a good time. Okay, so first up is the webinar today is presented by me. I'm Shannon Tarrant. For those of you who don't know me, I've been around in the wedding industry in Central Florida for a little bit over 12 years. Few different businesses, few different venues, lots of different opportunities. I'm gonna say yes, girl. So anything that pops up that I think is something that could help me learn and grow, I tend to take advantage of. This topic came about because I got asked to speak at the Planner Suite, which is a conference up in Atlanta. I hosted a roundtable session, and they asked me to talk about how to get on the venue list as a wedding planner. And the sessions weren't super long, but we had a really good time, and my attendees at my session loved it and said the info was really good and wished it was a bigger, longer session. So I decided, why not turn it into a webinar, which is great because you guys get to take advantage of it. So my background is in working for, first I worked for Big City Catering, then moved on to the Cypress Grove Estate House that Big City Catering managed, left there and moved on to Mission Inn Resort. And now I own the Shannon Experience, which is a consulting company. I just work with almost exclusively with vendors and venues and things in the wedding industry, helping people grow their business, help with sales, marketing, motivate you, get you on track, teach you the tips and the tricks that I've learned along the way on how to be more successful. And along that path, was my love of venues. It's something I've always, had a passion for ever since I really got into that side of the industry, and met a wonderful guy named Derek Burge, and he owns the Wedding Venue Map. And we decided to partner together on how to grow this amazing printed piece that's an all-inclusive list of all 350 venues in the Central Florida area, and a few outside as well, and how to grow it further. So we're excited to be taking that project online soon. There's my social media handles at Wedding Venue Map and the Shannon Experience. But that's just enough about me so that you guys know that I know what I'm talking about. So let's do a quick what you're going to learn today. The value of a vendor and venue referral, how to find the right referral partners, why persistence can pay off, tips to earn the referral, what is a strategic partnership, how to get the meeting, and what to do once you get the meeting. Just a general overview. Again, I'll send you all the slides and the whole presentation. So let's talk a little bit about referrals in general. If you do this, which you should be, each year at the end of the year, you should be working on your marketing plan for the upcoming year. A lot of times, small businesses focus on where are they going to advertise, what wedding shows are they going to do, and where are they going to spend their money. But they don't always include into the plan how to grow their referrals. Venues are an important piece of this puzzle because they tend to be at the top of the list when it comes to brides and or grooms selecting a wedding venue. So you want to remember that, the referrals from a venue are super important because they're at the top of the list, right? It's the first thing they pick. So you have a much better chance of getting a referral from the venue versus the limo company, which tends to be the last person that they pick. Edmund said he's not seeing the slides. I'm not sure. Can you see the screen share, Edmund? I'll keep clicking on through. There we go. Okay, so venues are super important when it comes to those things. So why are they so important? Well, they're more qualified leads when they come from a referral. The venue that referred you is qualifying the lead before they give them your name, oftentimes. Depends upon the venue. But a lot of times, at least that they're booked and can afford that venue. So it gives you a general idea of kind of where they're spending their money and how much money they have based upon the price point of the venue itself. The time saved. The follow-up process tends to be a lot easier on a referral in general. They tend to make the decision quicker, and when the lead is a referral, they decide faster and they understand where and when it's coming from. A lot of times vendors would reach back out to us when we refer to bride and groom, and they would say, hey, have they decided on a photographer, Shannon? Because we haven't heard anything from them, and at least we could then share, if they had or if they hadn't seen it. The conversion rates tend to go a lot quicker. So if referrals tend to have almost a triple the conversion rate over Google and internet leads. So, if you know that a friend of yours or a vendor partner or strategic relationship you had sent the lead over, a lot of times they'll decide to choose you because they depend upon those referrals a lot. So people influence people. Nothing influences people more than a recommendation from a trusted source. A trusted referral is the holy grail of advertising. This is a great quote by Mark Zuckerberg. And isn't this really true for everything we do in our lives? On Saturday night, I wanted someplace different to eat, and a friend had recommended this new restaurant, well, not new to her, over in Winter Garden called Mom's, and it's like grilled cheese sandwich shop. Amazing. It had one of the best grilled cheese and homemade tomato bisque soup. It was awesome. So something that was different and unique, what a friend told me about it. Would I ever have Googled grilled cheese shop in Winter Garden? Probably not. It's not on the main street in Winter Garden, so I'm not sure I ever would have wandered off and found it, but it was delicious and amazing. So it's true. Nothing really influences people more than a recommendation from a trusted source. The same thing applies for brides and grooms when they pick their vendors. So really, what do you do to find the right referral partners? First and foremost, you have to pick venues that fit your ideal client and your style. If your style is rustic in terms of what you do, or if your photography is light and airy, you're not going to pick a dark indoor venue that's, all kinds of uplighting and blue and things like that. It doesn't really make any sense. Whereas if you're rustic, you might want to look at barns and venues that fit into more of that rustic style. So really pick the things where your ideal client is, because then it's easier to close the business when you're selling to them. If a lot of what you're showing on your website in terms of your portfolio of your work fits into a style or a type, you want to make sure that the venues that you're going after have a little bit of that same piece. Next up is to do your homework about the property and the person you're going to meet with. I mean, it's the internet, right? Everybody puts everything out there. If you go follow me on Instagram, you'll know where I eat, what I do, where I hang out. Same thing with Facebook and what I pin on Pinterest. I mean, I do have secret boards, but a lot of it's public. You can get a really good idea and a feel for a person on their social media. Especially when it comes to Facebook. A lot of people in our industry friend request each other, and I look to see who they're friends with before I accept it. If they're a vendor in our industry and they're friends with 50, 60 different other wedding vendors, I'm probably going to accept it and kind of go check them out a little bit and make sure that it's somebody I actually want to be friends with. Also, do your homework about the property. You want to make sure that you know something before you show up. Don't show up and have no idea that they don't do outdoor ceremonies or they don't do ceremonies at all. It's only reception venue. Make sure you do your homework and learn as much as you can about the property, the person you're going to meet with, the history of it, if it's a historic home. I mean, it's kind of cool sometimes when people show up to Mission Inn, would come to Mission Inn, and they would teach me something about the property that I didn't know. Because I knew a lot about it, but I didn't know everything. Create partnerships with people you like. At the end of the day, the kind of person who wants to refer you is going to be somebody you have a great relationship with. No matter how good your product or your service is, if you don't like each other and you can't connect, then it doesn't make any sense for you to even make the effort to create a referral partnership with that person. You have to remember that you are the salesperson. The venue is the prospect. So this is like the same as you're having a meeting with a bride or groom to sit down and sell them your services. You are literally going in to sell this venue on why they should refer you the business. It's like going in for an interview. You would be doing the same single thing that you do, doing your homework, making sure you have all your stuff together and you're ready to go. It's just as important for you to come in ready for the interview. When you meet with a venue, why should they want to use you if they don't know who you are? A few quick do's and don'ts. Don't pop in and expect a meeting. I'm not sure about other vendors. It probably happens to cake if they're in a bakery that's open to the public. But at venues, we get a lot of pop-ins. Brides and grooms who just were in the area and showed up to visit and view and expect a tour. Now I don't mind it as much when it's a bride and groom. Still kind of messes with my day and my schedule a little bit, but it's much more expected when it's a bride and a groom than when it's a vendor. I like when people respect my time. I'm going to respect your time today and make sure we're here no more than an hour, less if we can make it all work and get all the info in. But don't ever pop in and expect a meeting. If you're going to pop in and drop some stuff off, okay, but don't pop in and expect them to take time out of their day, make a plan, book an appointment. Don't send an email asking how to get on the list. I can't tell you how often it would happen, almost on a weekly basis. Some random vendor I've never heard of, never met, had never worked at my property would be like, can you put me on the vendor list? Not even how. They would just ask to be on the list. So don't do that. That doesn't work. Don't offer money for referrals. We'll touch on this a little bit later, but yes, there are definitely venues that are happy to take the kickback. They are happy to take the money to give you referrals, and that's fine, but I would say that's slim pickings. Most of the venues, especially in our area in Central Florida, that's not really how they refer people. So you don't want to offend them by offering that, because it almost sounds like the quality of your work isn't good enough that you need to pay to be on the list. So don't offer that without finding out really how they choose their venues and vendors. Make sure you're respectful of their time. If you plan an hour, talk for an hour. Make sure you can get everything in that you have to say, questions you want answered in the hour. If you can't, make sure you stop and say, okay, great, it's been an hour. I know you're really busy too. Do you have some more time, or should we, meet up another time? Get to know them as a person. Man, does this make such a huge difference? I'm cat people. I have great photographers that we bond over their cats and my cats. And when we do client meetings, we have the best time because the cats are running around back and forth across the videos. But that makes it easy for me to connect with them because I know we're both cat people. I'm also dog people. So while I don't have a dog right now, I'm also dog people, but you want to make sure that you really are getting to know them as a person, not just as the venue. The last point is make sure you don't give up. People are really busy. You're busy, I'm busy, and so are the venue salespeople. Catering managers in general they're working for someone else most of the time. They're set on pretty serious sales quotas that they have to meet each month, which as a small business owner in the wedding industry, you may not hold yourself to that same standard where you have to hit quotas every month. You should be, and if you're not, I should do a webinar on that. But I want you to keep in mind that, they're busy as heck. So my patented blow-off move was every single vendor who reached out to me, the first time they reached out to me, I blew them off. So I would just say I'm really busy, whether I was or wasn't. If I had never heard of them, never met them, it wasn't an introduction, I would blow them off and say, I'm really busy. Can you reach out to me in 2 weeks and we'll put something on the calendar? Literally 90% of vendors would go away, like disappear. They never reached back out. They never followed up. They never touched base with me. If I met them somewhere, they almost pretended like it didn't happen. Those 10% that came back to me, I always did the meeting because that's the right thing to do, right? If I blew you off, you had the right to come back. With that being said, one of the tips we'll talk about is getting an introduction. If I know someone else has told me I need to meet with this person, a little bit different of a ballgame. But don't give up. Don't think that just because I ignored your email and maybe I didn't even reply and I just deleted it, don't think that that's it. Come at me with a different approach. Find a different way to reach out to me. And we'll talk about some of those options in a few. So let's really define a strategic partnership. When two companies come together and create a synergy that increases both companies' profit potential. The main word in that sentence is both. Both companies have to benefit from this. Otherwise, it's not a partnership. You're just getting referrals. At the end of the day, I want partners. I don't want to just refer people because don't we live in the world of what do I get for this, right? So you have to remember it's not a partnership if you get all the benefits. How can you help them? It has to be two-sided to be a success, to be a successful partnership. So let's talk about when you go to work an event. This is a really easy way, and we'll circle back to this again later. These are really easy ways to help you get meetings with venue coordinators later. So we're going to talk about before an event, during an event, and after an event, what you need to do to stand out and be spotlight on you and be a rock star. So before the event, these are all the things that you should be doing before you go to work at a property that you, A, have never been at. Obviously, you don't have to ask all the same questions if you've already been there. But the places you work at often, the places that you've never been to and they don't even know who you are, you want to reach out to them and talk to them, confirm the timeline. I can't tell you how many times the coordinators at the properties I've worked at get stuck in a spot where, you know, the DJ has a different ceremony start time than the photographer, the planner, it's kind of a mess, right? So ask about arrival time, load-in instructions, and parking. Do this before the event. Don't show up that day and leave your truck in a spot where it really shouldn't be for like 3 hours while you're loading and unloading. Florists are sometimes the biggest offenders of this. Show up, unload, move your vehicle. It's kind of like when you work a wedding show, right? Show up, unload it, move it, and then go in and set up all your things. It's not always the most convenient, but you need to ask what the rules are for the venue that you're going to work at. Get the name and contact number of the manager or captain on the event in advance. A lot of times the person you're speaking to is talking to you from their office. Many companies, they have cell phones. They're not in that office. They don't have access to that phone number. So make sure you know who you're going to be working with and how to contact them on event day. God forbid something happens on the way there. At least you know and you can get in touch with someone. Ask if they have a vendor dress code. I beg, plead, and cry that you do this. Having worked for a family-owned property, if the owner popped into an event and even the team who was setting up and leaving wasn't dressed appropriately, he would say we shouldn't refer that vendor. So ask them if they have a dress code. It may not be super strict, but it may be like, don't wear flip-flops and cutoffs. You know, jeans are fine. You know, a polo is fine, but don't look like you just rolled out of the gym when you're showing up to work an event. Even if you just deliver, set, and go. Because staff sees you, events see you. If you're at a hotel or a resort, there's other guests on property. So at the end of the day, you want to represent yourself the best you can. So just ask the question. Give them your contact info and anyone on your team working the wedding. The rental companies are great about this. I know the salesperson that I rented the tables and chairs from is probably not the person I call on event day if there's an issue. So tell me who I'm supposed to talk to if it's not you. And if it is you, tell me what number I can access you at. All good tips of things to do before you go to work an event. And you should just put this into your workflow. Do all of these things. It can be one email of information that you send over to each venue, but this kind of behavior really makes you stand out because most people aren't asking it, and then they show up and it's blech on event day. So now let's talk about event day. Introduce yourselves to the staff and jot down their names. It's important to jot down their names. You need that information for the after the event part. So just jot it down if you don't know who they are. Be flexible and demonstrate that you're a team player. I can't stress this enough. Obviously, the most important thing for you to do is show up, set up, and do what you need to do that day to provide the services that you've promised to the client. But at the point at which you've done that, and this really doesn't apply to photographers because you're just shooting pictures the whole time, right? But or video is usually pretty busy too. But the rest of the categories, unless you need to be somewhere else, if you don't have another delivery that day or don't have somewhere else to be, and you see somebody's behind or somebody's struggling, you know, as the venue, our job is to make it happen. So if you forget something, I'm going to have to figure it out. If you're running behind, I got to keep the timeline going to keep food quality the same. So I'll make it happen. But you guys have to have, vendors in general have to have the same attitude that the venue coordinators do, the venue staff does, is that you have to make it work. So demonstrate that you're a team player. One of my worst and best weddings I ever worked was up at the Lake Mary Event Center when I worked for Big City Catering. The truck broke down on the way to the venue. Oh my God, worst thing that could ever possibly happen. We got another truck. You back them up to each other on the side of I-4. You're pushing things from one side to the other. You get to the venue. We were about 35 minutes behind, but every minute counts, right? Well, there was a florist working that day, and they were there early, and obviously we were late. and we had the linens, and we had all the stuff to set. So they couldn't really do what they needed to do until we did what we needed to do. They jumped in, said, give us the linens, give us the stuff, whatever. I mean, they were helping fold napkins. They were helping put out silverware so that we could all get caught up and get to where we needed to be. I will, to the day I die, refer that florist because they do an amazing job. And that's the kind of attitude that we should all have because we need to work together as a team. Thank the people working there at the end of the night and really use their names. Get to know the staff there. It's more important to know more than just the catering managers. Catering managers or venue coordinators come and go at properties, right? We've all learned that. You build a great relationship with somebody and then they don't work there anymore. Well, guess what the new people do? They ask the staff. The new person who comes in asks the staff and says, hey, what florist do you guys love working with, hate working with? So make sure you're building those relationships with more than just the manager. On event day, take pictures and post them on social media, tagging the venue. If you can't do it the day of, the day after, whatever, that's fine. But if you can get one photo in, make sure you're tagging, and not only the venue, any vendor that's in that photo. So if you take a picture of the cake and the cake has fresh flowers on it, make sure you tag the venue, the cake, and the florist. Make sure you're giving credit where credit is due the best you can, as far as you can with the information you know. If the bride and groom hasn't shared it, I understand it can be challenging, but do your best you can, but make sure you tag the venue. Take a Whomper venue photo and share it out. Remember that you're a guest in their house and act accordingly. You're a house guest for the day, and you want to be a house guest again, right? You want them to invite you back. But if you don't act on your best behavior and you don't act like a guest and you walk around demanding things and not being a team player, why would they invite you back? The best staff stay at properties. I just saw a great comment from Curly, and Carol at the Mission Inn has worked there. She's one of the banquet captains. She's worked there for like 20 years. She'll probably retire at Mission Inn. So having a relationship with Carol is more important than any venue coordinator, catering manager, because Carol's a rock star. She's not going anywhere. So remember to make connections with more than just those people. So circling back to after the event, send a note and thank them. Compliment them on a job well done. It makes a big difference, right? We all work really hard on weddings. Point out something that they went above and beyond and did that day that you noticed. It feels nice. One of the things I learned recently, and I can't believe it's something I've never done. I've done it a little bit, but it wasn't really a priority, is go write them a review. Man, we all want that Google SEO juice. Go write them reviews on Google, Facebook, The Knot, Wedding Wire. Like anywhere you can, go review the venue. Other vendors also keep this in mind, but if you're really going after venue referrals, go and write them a review. It makes a huge difference to know if brides and grooms in today's day and age really put the kind of value on reviews that Mark Zuckerberg said, which I totally agree with, then why wouldn't you do that? It puts you in great light with them. So be specific in the review. Why do you like working at that venue? Who are the people there that make it shine? So go and write them reviews. Blog the wedding. If you're a photographer, this is pretty easy. If you're not, it's a tad bit more challenging. But for those of us who do blog and follow up and get the photos, blog the wedding. Talk about how great the staff is to work with. Showcase them on social media. Make sure you connect. Follow them, like them, share them, link back to them. I worked a great wedding at Mission Inn. Do all of those things. One of the best things that ever happened to me was when somebody sent an email to my boss saying how great I was. Man, don't we all love to be recognized for the work we do on wedding day? And for many vendors, you guys are a bunch of solopreneurs, entrepreneurs. A lot of people don't work for other people. So isn't it great? I mean, it's one thing for me to send an email to you and say, I really liked working with you. But when you have a boss, man, does that go so far to go and email? I mean, hotels and resorts and, venues and cities and things, they have like employee awards. So keep in mind, if somebody really is a rock star and stands out, think about sending an email to their boss. Vendors that are easy and fun to work with get referred time and time again. This is like guaranteed. So the people that the team say, it was so fun, we had the best time, it didn't even feel like work, those are the kinds of vendors that are going to get the referral. over somebody who's difficult and challenging to work with. So let's talk a little bit about how to get the meeting. So you've already rocked event day. It's been fantastic. Like you've learned, you've done all the before, the afters, all of those good things. You took pictures on and posted them on social media. So how do you actually get a meeting with that person? So first start with the list of venues you've already worked at and had a chance to shine. If you've done all the things I just told you, I mean, there's no reason why they shouldn't take a meeting with you. So start there. Then think about attending networking meetings to meet the venue contacts in person. There's lots of great stuff around our area. Perfect Wedding Guide holds a monthly luncheon, and they even email you out the list of who's going either the day before or the morning of. Shout out to Jana at Perfect Wedding Guide for doing that. It's such a great thing. It's almost like a shopping list of who do you want to meet the next day. So think about the opportunity you have to meet someone at a networking event and say hello and put a face to a name. So when you're following up with them afterwards, at least they've already met you once. Pick up the phone and actually call them, please. We all drown in email. It's really hard to let your personality shine in an email. I don't know about you, but I struggle to write emails that sound like my voice. It sounds a little too casual, not as formal, but then the other way they sound too businessy. So it's kind of hard to let yourself shine on an email. So think about picking up the phone and call. We know that brides and grooms in general really are only sending emails. So when my phone rings, I know it's somebody who really actually wants to talk to me in this day and age. So be different. I can't believe picking up the phone is thinking outside the box, but think outside the box and pick up the phone. A few more tips. Ask one of your current vendor partners for an introduction and a referral. There's some great partners that I have today that I never would have met with had someone else not told me to meet with them. Not because I'm not open to meeting with new people, but I was just busy. And at the time at which they reached out, I was like, oh God, I don't need to meet with another florist. But at the end of the day, that person ended up being one of the best strategic partnerships that I've had. So make sure that you use the partners you already have to get introductions to other people, whether it's at a networking event, whether it's somewhere else, but use what you've got. Send a handwritten note to congratulate them on being featured or winning awards. That was one of the favorite things that we started doing at the last venue I worked at. I really enjoyed being able to, when celebrations would come out, I would try to write a quick handwritten note to every single real wedding, every single vendor that had been published and say, congrats on getting published. Sometimes I told them before they had even seen it or they even knew it. So think that's a great way to put your name in front of someone. Maybe don't immediately ask for the meeting, but it's a great, keeping the door open to speaking to them. This last one is a touchy, but I think it works. Offer a bonus for leads at a venue you want to get your foot in the door with. So I had a consulting client who was a photographer and really wanted to shoot at this property and knew that there were some great spots that no one else was really using. They would blog it, they could get it published, all of these things. So they finally got a lead for that venue. And they offered some free upgrades to the package to get the client. So they added on 2 extra hours. They threw in 100 thank you cards. Maybe if you're a florist, you add on sweetheart table decor without charging extra. Doesn't mean you have to discount, but maybe throw in a little bonus to get your foot in the door, so that you can then go back and meet with them because you've done everything I just taught you on the before, during, and after. So it's just something to keep in mind. Not everybody's going to do it, and it doesn't work for every business model, but what a difference to be able to say that you've worked there and you can make them shine. So now you actually got the meeting, right? You've done all these great things, and now you're meeting with them. What are you supposed to do when you get there? So what's the first step? You got to bring your A game. Remember, this is you showing up for an interview. Like, that's a big deal, right? Like, it's like trying to go get the job. Arrive on time, which means 5 minutes early. Not 20 minutes early, not 30 minutes early. Even if you're worried about how far the venue is, you can get there and sit in your car and go and Instagram and Facebook like things, but don't actually walk in to meet with the person until about 5 minutes before. Because other than that, I maybe had my whole day planned and you just gave me a heart attack because you're 25 minutes early. So keep in mind that on time is 5 minutes early. Be prepared. Bring whatever you need to, having done your research about me, having done your research about the venue itself, but do your homework in advance. Come dressed to impress. Don't show up in jeans and a t-shirt. I mean, maybe wear what you would wear to work a wedding. So it shows how, but this is an interview. Who hires people who show up in flip-flops and cutoffs, even if it's just to pitch me an idea? I mean, I want you to look, I'm not saying overly professional, but polished. So come dressed like it's a job interview. Bring a small gift. This isn't always something that has to cost a ton of money, but it's like a thank you for your time. If you've done the research well enough, you know that certain people are obsessed with Starbucks, or that person loves going to Planet Smoothie, or raspberry chocolates are my jam, or I don't know, just something small. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It's just something thoughtful that says, thank you for your time. If you're a florist, bring me some freaking flowers. Like, it's not complicated, but bring me something that says, that it was worth the time. Find a way to showcase your work. Bring an iPad or a computer or a photo book or something to be able to actually showcase your work. I'm not saying I want a full-on presentation, but I want to know if you're coming, come ready with every tool in your kit to be able to do it if they want to see it. Remember to ask questions. Again, you are selling to them. So it's an 80-20 rule. They should be talking 80% of the time, and you should only be talking 20%. Don't sit there and present about how amazing you are. You need to find out all the info you can about them. What's the biggest opportunity happening for your venue right now? What's your biggest challenge? And because maybe you can do something to help them with it. How do you refer your couples to vendors? This is a really important question you need to ask. You need to find out, do they just put a list when they give a tour and that's the end of it? Because those are probably not going to be as qualified. Do they try to match personalities? Do they talk budget? How are they referring vendors to couples? Do they show them pictures in a book? Is it a room full of business cards? But you need to know how each venue does it so that you can help them do it the right way. Who's your perfect client so I can refer business back to you? That's huge, like huge. Who is the venue's perfect client? If I know that I want a bride, that venue is looking for people who want to get married Fridays and Sundays because their Saturdays are completely freaking full, then if I work a wedding show where a friend is getting married, I know I'm going to send them that client. So, and maybe it's not just brides and grooms. So remember that at a venue, most of them do everything. They do weddings, corporate, holiday, reunions. My boyfriend is planning his high school reunion right now, and I just referred him to this great teeny tiny little venue in Apopka that no one knows exists. Well, not teeny tiny, it's huge and fantastic, but no one knows it's there, called the Hidden Barn. It's a great value. It works for what they need it to be. He went to high school in Apopka. It's close, easy, but it's like almost non-existent online. So, but it's a high school reunion. It has nothing to do with a wedding. So really find out who's the right client and ask tons of questions so that you can find out how you can help them best. Maybe they need marketing photos. Maybe they need holiday flowers on Valentine's Day. They give them out to everybody who comes into their restaurants. I don't know. But if you don't ask the right questions, you won't be able to know the answers. Figure out how you can support their marketing. Ask them if they need marketing materials from you. There was this lovely officiant who doesn't do a lot of weddings anymore, so it's not any of the big guys you're thinking of, but he used to mail 10 business cards every month to the venue I worked at. Every single month. We got an envelope. No note, no card, no, hey, here's some if you need them. He never asked if we needed them. He just mailed them every month. Well, I felt bad because even though they were simple, inexpensive business cards, we just threw them away. We actually referred the vendor, but in this day and age, business cards isn't the way we referred people. So I didn't need 200 of his business cards sitting around, so we just chucked them. So make sure you find out if the venue doesn't have a room where they meet with brides, they probably don't want canvases if you're a photographer. If you're a cake company, maybe you want to make a dummy cake for them, but what if they have nowhere to put it? So make sure you ask if they need marketing materials instead of just assume. Plan an inspiration shoot. So let's really talk about this. is very important because inspiration shoots are all the rage still. I thought they would have died by now, but they're still going strong. So an inspiration shoot is a great way for you to almost audition for a venue. That's how I used to pick new vendors and find new people. When a new wedding planner or a new vendor would come along that I'd never heard of or never worked with, I would say, why don't you plan a shoot here? And why don't you show me what you can actually do? That was great when they did it. But if you're going to plan a shoot, I need you to treat it like a wedding. I know it's on a Tuesday. I know they're only models, but I need you to show up and rock it. If you're the planner, I need a timeline and floor plans and a plan, because my staff at the venue still needs to know all of those things. This isn't just show up and throw out some chairs. Like, we still run on a plan. You know, I was spoiled at Mission, and we had a setup team. They didn't let me set up my own chairs and tables. But if they don't have that information in advance, it doesn't happen. So make sure you treat a shoot like it is a wedding. Show up dressed appropriately. I don't care if it's a Tuesday. Yes, inspiration shoots and styled shoots, all the same thing. So, you know, just treat it the same way. Show up dressed appropriately. Rock your A game. Come, you know, send a note in advance. So let's say a planner plans a shoot and you're the invitation company and you're not even there that day, right? You just send an invitation suite to the planner. Make sure you send an email or even a card in advance saying, hey, I'm so excited about the shoot. Find out what the venue needs from the shoot. So I'm going to give a shout out to Kathy Thomas, who I know is on here today. That crazy lady came to me at Mission Inn and said she wanted to do 3 shoots on the same day, all at the same time. Well, not at the same time. We'd run around property. We'd plan like a 12-hour photo shoot. I thought she was nuts, but I said yes because, you know, I get excited when people think crazy too, because I think crazy. Kathy had a vendor list of like 47 people. It almost gave me a heart attack. But you know what? It was flawless other than the wind, which we can't control. We were in for like 12 hours all over property. But you know what? I was like, man, she knows what she's doing. And she put it together and it literally was flawless. That doesn't happen. If she had come in and was a disaster, I would have been like, I will never refer or use this vendor. I won't use them. But you have to find out also what the venue needs from the shoot. So Claire, with That First Moment, came in to do a shoot years and years and years ago at Mission Inn and said, what do you guys need? And I said, you know, I kind of really need pictures of brides and grooms doing the activities at Mission Inn. So if I can get them playing pool and eating pizza upstairs in the restaurant, like late night snacks and all of those great things, if I can do all of those things, then the shoot is really worth it for me. Well, guess what? She got me everything I wanted. So remember that you have to ask the venue, what do they need also? Maybe they just need a picture of the empty ballroom. I don't care. Just make sure they get what they want. Offer to write a guest blog for them and blog about the venue. That's really important for those of us who care and love about SEO. Shout out to Rudy. And from Rudy and Marta, who's on here and teaches me about SEO every time I talk to them. But offer to write them a guest blog. I don't care if you copy and paste something already written on your website. Who cares? Reuse the content that you already freaking have. It's already sitting there. Send it off to them with the photos and the images and SEO, all the stuff you need to. Also, write a blog about the venue. If you've got it, if you've done it, if you've worked there before, blog and highlight them, interview them. I don't know, but give them some Google Juice back and link over to them. So all different marketing ideas, few other random notes. Offer something special for clients that from that venue when they refer you. So kind of the same thing as on the booking side, if it's a venue you want to get your foot in the door. If the venue refers the limousine company that you own, you know, to your client, maybe they get a free bottle of champagne in there. Something that's a little something special, a little something extra, because of the referral. It makes the venue look really good, but it also makes you look like you have a solid relationship with that venue. When you meet with them, never, ever, 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 ever speak poorly of other vendors in your category. Here's a great example. So I met with a DJ once at the venue I was working at, and they came in. It was a new DJ in town, had never heard of them, and proceeded to spend the first 10 minutes of the meeting telling me why I shouldn't refer all these other really great established vendors that we were already using. I mean, they actually listed and named them by name and then tried to, tell us why we shouldn't be using each company individually. These are people that had been working at that venue, some of them for like 15, 20 years. Like, I didn't even have a say whether we refer them or not, because the long-standing relationship they had at that property, I mean, I would have referred them because they were amazing. But I also, why would you do that? It made them look so bad. I stopped listening and I ended the meeting early. I mean, I got a phone call, quote unquote, and I had to go because I had to pop in tour. That's not true. I lied. So I hope they're not on this webinar right now. But at the end of the day, speaking poorly of other venues in your category, remember, you're selling them just like you're selling a bride and groom. So don't do that. Think about taking notes. Don't forget the important points. I don't care if you pull up a note on your phone and you jot stuff down. Just tell them, hey, do you mind if I write down a few of the things we're talking about so I don't forget? That's fine. Really important to do if you can't remember it all. Or do it when you get back to your car, one or the other. All things equal, people will do business and refer business to people they know and trust and like. So you have to make those relationships and you have to get together and say, make sure that you're becoming a trusted resource for the venue itself. So let's talk about the hot topic, to pay or not to pay. You need to know your market. Certain markets really require you to pay to play. If you're a caterer trying to get on an exclusive list or a preferred list at most venues, I know Central Florida for sure, but I know from a catering standpoint, it's pretty much a national rule. They require you to pay a percentage back on all food and beverage, which, I mean, could you imagine if every other category in Central Florida, on every wedding, you had to pay a percentage to the venue for referring you? Heart attack, right? But at the end of the day, it's pretty standard when it comes to catering. In South Florida, I have learned from a friend that it's pretty standard down there too, to be on the list. Doesn't mean you can't still have people find you on Google and other things, but to actually be on a list at a venue, it's not about building relationships at all. It's about how much you're willing to pay back. So know your market. Is that the norm? Is it not the norm? Can you find other ways to do it? I'm not a firm believer in kickbacks. I feel like we can always give back to each other in other ways. You can find out if the property itself hosts its own charity or has a charity believe in that you could give back to. You can ask them what they need of you and your services. If you're a planner, do they need help planning their charity function or planning their holiday party? Can you offer, if you have a photo booth company, can you offer them, one free photo booth every year? Just things like that. Find other ways to give back to them that is not paying, because again, the venue will tell you. So if they believe if they're a pay-to-play venue, they'll tell you when you're trying to do this meeting, to be referred on our list, you pay 10% back of anything you book. They'll tell you immediately, but I don't believe it's something you should offer on the front end, because it will turn off more people than when you the referral. Remember, after you finish the meeting, to say thank you. One of the best life lessons I learned in my career was at my first quote-unquote real job in the event industry. And I worked for an amazing woman named Molly Crouch, who now works at the convention center. But she taught me to be your word. It was written on the wall in the office. It was everywhere. I really beat it into me every day. And what that means is, if you say you're going to do something, go do it. If you say you're going to send a client a quote on Thursday, you make damn sure you send it on Thursday, or at least send them an email why you couldn't get it done Thursday, and you'll get it done Friday. Set really clear expectations and always follow through on the things you say you're going to do. If you say you're going to plan a photo shoot, plan the photo shoot. If you say you're going to send them photos, send them photos. Send a small token of appreciation if you found out and learned something about that person that day. Why they named their company, what they named it, why, where that came from, a story, something about their family. Send something just as a thank you for the time. Be different and stand out. Think outside the box, and don't do the same thing that everyone else is doing, because otherwise they won't really remember you. All right, so now you have all this great information. What are you supposed to do with it? Make a list of venues you've already worked at and know the contact person. Again, make sure it's somebody you liked and enjoyed work with, and it matches your brand, and reach out to them. Just start with the list. and then use my magical map, the wedding venue map, if you haven't. If you need one, you let me know. I'll be at the CFWA meeting and the PWG luncheon this month. But use the map to research venues near you. Oh, God, could you imagine if you could get 3 new venues that are like less than a few miles from you? I mean, it'd be awesome, right? But Central Florida's huge, so we end up everywhere. But really find some ones on there that maybe you didn't know existed and see if they're the right fit for your brand, and try to reach out to them. Really think about building 3 powerful strategic relationships. 3. All it takes is 3. If, let's say, a venue is doing 100 weddings a year, if they only refer 4 or 5 photographers and you could get another, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 weddings from that venue. If you could build 3 of them, that's 60 more weddings you could do this year. I mean, that's humongous. That's a lot of business. So just remember that there's 350 plus venues in our area. So you really only have to find 3, 5, I don't know, set yourself small goals because it's not easy to build those new relationships. Remember that it isn't free. It takes time. It takes memorable touches. You know, sometimes I see an article of something that reminds me of the meeting with that person and send it over. Just because you meet with them doesn't mean you're getting on the list, but you want to keep nurturing the relationship. Also, don't forget the ones you're already on the list with, guys. So many people worry about the next list that they forget to nurture the current list. So go back in the next month or 2. Touch base with the ones who you know refer you. What can I do? How can I help you? You know, how do we grow our relationship better and bigger in 2018? Just remember, it takes other time. The best tip I can give you today is don't forget the other vendors. People spend so much time focusing on getting venue referrals because they think it's the top of the list. They forget about everybody else, right? Like, venues aren't the only potential referral you can receive. Build a monster network and support other wedding professionals. I don't really work at a venue anymore, but right now I have 6 friends getting married. I mean, it's friends and previous employees and whatever getting married. So those people, I'm still referring to people. I still refer them to the venues, the vendors, the strategic relationships that I have. I keep sending them business. So just remember that the relationships you build, it shouldn't be with just the venue. I'm still here. I was just thinking for a second. You have to remember that every step of the way, brides don't book things in one exact order. Yes, there's a general time frame. Tends to be venue, then usually DJ photographer, then videos, sometimes a planner. I don't know. Kara, great example. Kara's in the industry and she's still been asking people for her referrals. So, I mean, it's definitely remember your vendor partners and remember to build past just the venue. The venue isn't enough for you in terms of your arsenal of people to refer. So that's kind of the general info of today's webinar. I'm excited to get to start kicking up my new newsletter for Wedding Venue Map. We're getting everything rolling before the website launches. We're on our way, spring 2018 for sure, just still building. But in the meantime, you can sign up for our newsletter, take a screenshot of this or afterwards later. You can learn more about upcoming webinars next month. I'll tell you about that in a second. The website launch, collaboration opportunities. I'm lazy. I don't want to blog. So if you've got a good reason to blog, then, I'm happy to share that over with you. Advertising options on the new website, all kinds of great things, so much more. So make sure you sign up for the newsletter. Next month's webinar is exciting. It's called Shut Up and Listen, Sell More by Saying Less. Some of us need that more than others. I'm one of those. So it's important for you to remember how to do a better meeting and better client meeting. So make sure you sign up for the newsletter right here on the little newsletter link. And that'll include all the info for you. We'll stay in touch and keep everything up. And then I'll launch the sign up for the next webinar probably before the end of this week. It'll be Monday, the last Monday in March. I'll do 3 times, same as the 2 today, 10 a.m., 1 p.m., but I'm also going to add a 7 p.m. because a few people were asking me for an evening. I do offer consulting for clients who need individual one-on-one. The webinars are great, but at the end of the day, we want to make sure that if you need more help and you need something more specific to your business, that I'm here to help you. We've got a few more minutes, so if anybody wants to, yay, I'm back. If anybody wants to ask questions in the chat box, I'm here. If there's something you wish I had covered or any other info you want to get, I'm here to do it. I will email out the webinar, all the information, and a survey if you don't mind taking a quick survey to tell me where you need all the info from. Thanks, Kathy. Pillows were from Home Goods. Welcome to my home office, everyone. So the pillows are from Home Goods. But I love to hear after you get on their list how to continue the relationship. Ooh, that's a good question. We've got tons of time. You know, you want to remember to keep touching base with people. It's not just what can I do for you to get on the list, but if you're a photographer, send the photos. If you make if you make videos, make sure you share the video, like share the actual video. Make sure you're sending that over to them. If you know, those of us who focus on SEO, we know how important video content really is. So you want to make sure that, I don't know, offer to go shoot them something. Do they need a promo video? All kinds of different things that you can do to keep touching base with them. And venue coordinators and salespeople, they change all the time. So you have to keep touching base, because what if it's a new person and you didn't even know it? I mean, I'm working with the team at Mission Inn, doing some consulting, and in the last 2 years, they've had a little bit of turnover. So those people are here. Hey, Edmund and Kathy pop on video. Hey! Those people pop in and shoot a promo video and things like that. So, Christmas time was great when you worked at a wedding venue, but I gained like 400 pounds because everybody sent chocolates and foods and all kinds of things like that. So, I don't know. Don't do it in December. Find another way. If it's their birthday, if it's something like that. Kristen is getting her hair done with Vanessa and just popped on. Hey, Chris. Everybody pop on video at this point. But yeah, come touch base with them and make sure you just keep touching in. Send an email, happy holidays. If it's their birthday, I don't know, all kinds of different things. So, oh, that's funny. Susan chatted with somebody else. Does anybody have any other questions? Does that answer your question, Key Moments? I'm guessing that's you, Mary at KMF. Edmund and his Starbucks. Well, I hope you guys all learned something. If anybody has another question, pop it in. Otherwise, I'm going to let you go. Oh, there's Mary. Hey, look at all these fun peeps. It's kind of fun to see the video. It just kind of kills the whole presentation, so you can't see it if everybody's on video while we're doing the presentation. So. Great. It's so nice to have you guys, and thanks for your support always. And I can't wait to teach you some more stuff next month. Hope you have a great day, and over and out, sending it off.